Hey everybody, welcome to Myopia Movies. This week we are talking about Pacific Rim, a movie that is set in the impossibly far off year of 2025. I mean, yeah, it's Rock'em Sock'em Robots, yeah, it's punching monsters, and yes, it was fun as hell. It's also Guillermo del Toro, so everything kind of feels like it's like pulsating, which is kind of awesome. Anyway, thanks for doing all you do to keep us on the charts and relevant. Thank you for sharing us. Thanks you for reviewing us. We hope you enjoyed this episode because it was a lot of fun to do. So thanks, everyone. Bye. Welcome to Myopia Movie. This week, we're preparing for current events as we cover Pacific Rim, and we're waiting for a kaiju. I'm your host, Nick Hoffman, Riffer on
Pinterest.
I am Nick Hoffman, Riffer on Cineprov, and on panel we have...
Atlanta author Matthew W. Quinn. Check out my new book, The Walking Worm, and then my Substack, The World According to Quinn, and you can hear a lot more of me there.
And I'll tell you what, his book gave me a Substack. You know what I mean?
We got Alex Ewalt here in Wish Me Luck. Every time we say the word Jaeger on this podcast, I'm going to take a Jaeger bomb. Let's see how I do. Maybe I'll make it.
Keiko.
Alex is getting nuked just like in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now, I know some of us, well, we've done this movie podcast for 11 years. Some people still think we only do bad movies, and we do a lot of bad movies, but we chose this one not because it was bad, but because it's set in 2025, and it's nice to occasionally look into the future. We did other movies set in 2025 already, like The Running Man, and, you know, I was going to say The Running Man seems impossible, but, you know, who knows? Who knows? Our reality show overlords are looking down on us right now. So for the NSA person who's listening, hi, how you doing? How's the family? So we're doing a Guillermo del Toro movie though, which is fun, and it's funny because I know him for his body horror stuff, his Pan's Labyrinth is weird. This is
Previous episode, Mimic.
Yeah.
That's got some body horror.
Well, but this has monsters. It does have monsters. But for the most part, this is like fucking straight. I like, it's so much fun. It's like an Ultraman movie.
Yeah,
it's
like
a Power Rangers movie.
Fight 'em up, but
A 500 tall robot picks up an oil tanker and beats a kaiju with it.
you can still feel Guillermo in it, though.
sure.
It is striking to look at times. I really liked the scenes, the like Asian city street scenes. I guess they're in China. Are they in China?
Hong Kong.
Hong Kong,
Yeah, they're
At
in
this
China.
point, it's China.
I know they talked about one of the locations being in China, and like the humor in it, I feel like has his sort of touch. Really good. Love his work.
Well, and again, like, speaking of Mimic, there's a lot of big industrial spaces that we see, followed by weird, like, monster things. I mean, and again, we'll prepare your first shot, Walex. But the phraseology they use are the monsters that come out of the ground. Are kaiju, which is Japanese for monster, and then the machines that they use to fight them, these power BattleBot things that again look like Megazords, are called the Jaegers, which is German for monster, which is why after drinking enough Jägermeister, you do become both a monster and a master monster.
Yeah, if previous episode, The Guyver, is the world's most violent Power Rangers episode, that's when they're human-sized fighting kung fu. This is when the Zords come out.
Yeah, and again, I will not say. I mean, we're gonna make fun of this movie for about an hour. That's. If this is your first episode, thanks for coming. I don't know why you looked for Pacific Rim today. Maybe you were just looking up Charlie Hunnam, but like, this movie is delightful.
Who's Charlie Hunnam?
He's Raleigh.
Yeah.
He's our lead.
Oh, okay.
But like, you have Idris Elba playing an American. You have Charlie Day being charming as hell, opposite Gorman as Gottlieb. You have Dr. Newton, Geisler?
Yeah.
Against Gottlieb? Like, as
Yeah.
like a Bert and Ernie, like, comedy science team? I mean, and again, we will make fun of this movie because that's what you're paying us for, which is nothing. But this movie is... I think right now on Rotten Tomatoes it has a 72. That's exactly where it needs to be. It's not a masterpiece, but it's fun.
It's a lot of fun. And my kids, I forced them. I told the guys before the show, I turned off all the devices and I was like, we're going to go watch a movie. And they were like, you're mean to make us watch a movie. And I put the movie on and my 7-year-old sort of gravitated toward me, and next he's on the couch with me.
Licked
and
your arm.
He did lick my arm, which was very weird. But my 5-year-old was like trying to leave the room, and he kept coming back and standing behind me. And every fight scene, he would go like, "Whoa, whoa!" like
The appropriate reaction.
Well, this movie seems like it's designed for young boys.
little boys. Yeah. I think so. I think. Well, I mean, I will say I think there is probably a little bit more like talky stuff than they really care for, but like they locked in all the fighting scenes. They were so here for it.
Well, and I had the exact same thought, which is that this is a Guillermo movie. You're exactly right. And there's little Guillermo bits, like there's the organ stuff and the weird, the way you connect into these Mechazord things is with with mind bullets. That's telekinesis, Kyle. If this had been like a Michael Bay movie, there would have been toys and things.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't need toys. Give me my body horror, and I will make you
I wonder,
$500 million.
did anybody did someone actually try to make toys from this?
I bet you, but they're toys for adults, right? Like they're those $40 at Comic-Con, and you get that thing that looks like a giant hammerhead turned sideways. Like that's what it is. And like, just as an aside, one of the cool things about this, and I mean, you don't have to understand the plot. The plot is they fight monsters, and in between there's interpersonal stuff. But like, the first 10 minutes explains that we already won, and now we failed, which is kind of cool. Because like, all of a sudden these kaiju started showing up.
Yeah,
We built robots, and at first one person tried to control the robot with their mind, and it killed him. And you see this guy, they're taking away a corpse with his eyes bleeding.
Yeah.
They're like, so we figured out you needed 2 people.
2 people.
Yeah, that would have been better. Doing a prequel for the first monster that attacked San Francisco and then they took the military 6 days to kill it.
That's actually
would have been a better movie than the sequel we got.
I never saw the sequel. Did you see it?
No, I heard it was bad.
That's a really good idea. I didn't know there was a sequel.
There's a Godzilla versus King Kong epic rap battles of history, and one of Godzilla's lines, "That's the worst kaiju comebacks in Pacific Rim 2."
Ooh.
So you're basing your review of a movie
Also,
on
No, I think he did see the
also
movie.
there were some
He did not.
also
What,
there
you
were some. I looked at the IMDb ratings or Rotten Tomato ratings. They were
Oh, okay.
notably lower.
Well, it's because I don't think Guillermo came back.
John Boyega is Idris Elba's character's son. I read a little
in
bit
the
about
sequel?
it. Yep.
Oh.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Look, I'm trying to pull it up
My
now.
kids did get a kick out of the fact that I told them it was set in 2025.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Later this year,
they
guys.
thought in 2013, they thought this would be this year. And they just thought that was hilarious because
Yeah. Where's our
we're not there yet.
Where's our giant mech technology? Come on.
I sold it off to Elon. He
Is
said
it-
it would be here next week.
That's something Elon would do because he seems like a geek who got like $1 trillion and is trying to make his fantasies come to life. So
Well-
yeah, Elon, build a giant robot.
No, it's the opposite. He'll say he'll make it and it will fail. Like when they had passed high-speed rail for California, and then he said, "Oh, I'll do it with pneumatic tubes." Took the money. His version of it would have involved putting cars in a tube without emergency exits, and then they cut the funding, and so now they don't have high-speed rail or tubes like that. So I will just say, looking at Pacific Rim 2, the only people to come back are Charlie Day, because what was he doing, and Meiko Mori came back. But other than that, I think everyone's recast.
Even the
No, don't worry. Gottlieb came back, so he has his buddy.
I was wondering about the control guy. I think his name is something Collins. Connor Collins.
Oh, him? No, he's not back.
They call him Elvis in the movie.
Yeah.
Like they call him Elvis. I think that is not his name, but I think they're just making fun of his hair. So I really liked him because we went on a baseball movie kick, and he's in a movie called The Perfect Game.
Oh, I know that movie. Yes,
About the Mexican kids, baseball players who go on tour in America, and it's just a really sweet, charming movie. And he plays the coach that coaches these kids. So I really liked seeing him.
And only because Matt brought it up, I will agree with you. It'd be an interesting movie to have the prequel in San Francisco.
I agree,
but only if they don't do any explaining. I like the fact that we get all of the background and, oh my God, they're kaijus, just accept it in 5 minutes. You know what I mean? Like, we're told that this world exists. They have robots. There's not a montage where there's a guy I love Iron Man, but if there was an Iron Man-esque thing like, well, I'm going to build us a goddamn robot. And then there's a guy who's a rival company who's going to make his own robot, played again, of course, by Jeff Bridges, who's like, he made his robot in a cave out of scraps.
That's something they could put at the very end, Well, if it comes back, here's an idea I had.
No, but that's how they beat them the first time. We're told that they're robots. That's how the whole montage ends. They have a robot that they built. Anyway, doesn't matter. I like the fact that all that is taken care of in 10 minutes, and we're picked up when they have now failed. Now all the robots are going poorly. By the time that dude and his brother get the shit kicked out of them, that's 15 minutes in, and then the movie moves on.
Yeah.
And by the way, this movie is 2:15, I think, with credits. It doesn't feel like that. This movie flies, and I like that.
Agreed.
This movie is delightful.
And as we're recording this, we also discussed Borderlands tonight, and it's very bad. But it was actually kind of fun to watch these two movies together, these two kind of sci-fi romp movies, and see where this movie gets it right. They do give you a backstory in the beginning. It's brief, but you get it.
Yeah.
And then you immediately go into character development versus the other movie, which just doesn't give you any background or character development.
You just have Kevin Hart breaking an angry middle schooler out of space jail, and they pick up Jason Voorhees, and things go from there.
Well, and I know inflation is a bitch, so I apologize. But that movie, the Borderlands, cost $200 and change. I think $210 to make plus advertisement. This cost $180 or $180 and change plus advertisement.
Goodness, it looks so much better.
Yeah, it was very similar
It is
amounts.
just-
And this one grossed more than $400 million, so it doubled its money back.
And the animation in this movie, I was hearing Nick in my head. I was hearing him say CGI nonsense, CGI nonsense.
Me too.
But it's done so well in this movie.
Yes.
It doesn't feel that way. And I'm curious if we could talk about that.
Yeah, please, of course.
What makes the CGI just so seamless and nice in this movie, and not that jarring fakey what is it? Because did you guys all feel the same?
I think it's fantastical, but there's one of the Jaegers is holding a battleship and beating the hell out of a kaiju
Oh my gosh,
with it,
my
which
kids
was
love that. They were like,
incredible.
He's got a baseball bat.
But it's not like there's things defying physics happening. It's like it. I don't know. They sort of trudge around and I don't know. It's very big and fantastical, but it looks like it could feasibly actually happen on Earth.
Maybe we're used to monsters destroying cities. Maybe we're okay with that idea.
Just for a second, I love how you turned into WWE as just oh my God, he's got the tanker and he's down. Somebody call his mama.
Good gracious!
It's a Jaeger with a steel ship.
And he call his mama. He ain't coming home tonight.
Oh Lord of mercy, mercy on him, Jaeger.
Meanwhile, Julian's bumping up another chair, he's got him. He's on the ropes.
Yes.
But I think what it is, and first of all, the way generally I can tell CGI nonsense is how light hits it, right? And so daylight scenes where you're watching Iron Man fling around.
And all of these, most of these fights are night.
Night with rain going on, and that helps hides a lot of sins. But also, I think they do a good job of making them look fake, and that helps. You know what I mean? They're incredibly bulky. They look out of this world. It's really easy to do a CGI alien. Think even the movie Signs with M. Night Shyamalan. And that when we're watching that Brazilian birthday party, and then just for a second, an alien walks across the background.
Yeah.
It looks like an alien. I know what an alien looks like. You can make it look like a monster. And so here, you don't even have to make the metal look shiny because it's raining, right?
Yeah.
I think that's part of it too. And it's a big behemoth that's impossible with the way the world works. So we forgive a lot of that. And all you need is splashing waves because apparently there's always a monsoon when these things show up.
Well,
that helps.
But okay, so we watched the Ninja Turtle movie, and
Which one?
The one we watched together, the
2014.
The animated one or the
2014
2014
one.
Okay.
Megan
Yeah.
Fox.
And that one was so cheesy CGI. Like I guess a lot of it was in the daylight. I don't know. I don't know.
Well, because when light doesn't hit things right, it's notable, right? Because it looks like you're watching a bad creepypasta when like there's a thing standing up there and the light isn't hitting it. And you're just like, oh yeah, no, okay, it's fake. And I will also say something that helps ground us in this movie. Again, giving it compliments. We cut to people in actual things. Right? Like, because they made those dudes, they made those suits, and in the background, they're probably just standing in front of the kind of ventilation fan you have in a warehouse, but they just gave it cool neon lights. So you pan to the side, and there's just shit moving around, and you're like, all right, well, shit's moving around.
All right, cool.
Right? And here's the thing. We've learned this watching Star Trek. They can say the MacGuffin tube's about to break inside of the Whoozamafuzz, and you believe it if there's actually a Whoozamafuzz, right? And so, like, when Doc goes, this is the flux capacitor. It's what makes time travel possible. You're like, thing's fucking important.
All right, there it is.
And so when they're wearing their glowing suits and we see, like, all of a sudden WandaVision and they're going back to their childhoods, we're like, well, I don't know what this nonsense is. It's probably exposition, but it must be important to this nonsense. And here's the thing about it. Guillermo explains it, but we don't waste any time on it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the drift, you got to get into your memory bank. So you know what the drift is? It's your past. Moving on. And then we see, when we get to Miko Mako, and she's beating the shit out of shit. Ooh, boy, that it. Woo! But anyway.
Oh, boy, that got some PTSD right there.
But we are beating the shit out of monsters within the first 15 minutes. Yeah. We do it for 10 minutes, and we watch these brothers have a dramatic family tragedy. And then he's on the beach just walking along and he's like, collapse. Cut to 5 years later. Cut to 2025. Mm-hmm. They had no idea. Woo.
I am glad we didn't get giant monster portal in 2020.
Yeah.
Yet.
Well, those people didn't think it was going to open up out of nowhere.
Well, yeah, but like we already had 2020 and that didn't happen.
That's fair. We had COVID. So maybe we'll get monster COVID next.
The monster portal is 2025.
We get Charlie Day going, okay, so here's the thing. You know, at first, COVID happened one at a time, but now they're coming at 2 or 3 at a time. That's what... The problem is Alex is now nervous laughing. That's not joy laughing. No. That's like, oh God, Hoffman, you could be right. He's the doctor, by the way. I do wish we had more of these like display screens and stuff. And as delightful. Always good to see Idris Elba in something. I love Idris Elba. I like how he's playing an American and his accent. And again, there's a lion that is his natural accent, and it is pulling at the grate. Like, it is so close to losing that American.
He does, I think, let it out once when Charlie, or whatever his name is, Raleigh, is being obnoxious.
Oh, that guy, Charlie Hunnam.
And he's like, don't mistake my composure for something.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, well, if you watch The Wire, he's on a tightrope of swinging back from London to trying for the Baltimore and back to London, and then
or just watch The Dark Tower. He just kills everyone.
No one needs to watch The Dark Tower, Matt. I know you like that movie, and I know you love those books, and I like the books more too. But that movie's awful. It's awful. Matthew McConaughey is good, and
all right.
He should have been Bond. Actually, no. I'll say the opposite. He should not have been Bond, but he should have gotten his own spy movie. You can call it something else. Well, but he's so good. He's so good.
Well, spoilers, the last Bond movie, James Bond is dead, so 007's up for grabs.
Well, they will recast it with another plain white guy. I just hope that Bond can tell a fucking joke. Because like Daniel Craig's movies were the post 9/11 Bond. There's no joy in post 9/11 action movies. There just isn't. I mean, this movie, of course, excluded. But like, think of the Jason Bourne movies. Like, think of the Mission Impossible movies. Like, I love them. They're great, but they're not exactly Roger Moore making crack 'em ups and like having fun. So whoever they choose, and I imagine we'll get one in the next few years. Please don't be Tom Holland. Hey, gee. Oh, Mr. M, I hope that, oh, boy. Oh, gee whiz, Q. This is the great. And I like Tom Holland fine in certain things. But until he has his Equus where his penis is out.
I think it should be Daniel Radcliffe.
Oh, God. Could you imagine?
Be incredible.
He had a glow up. I mean,
no.
I've always believed him.
He's
He's
great.
hilarious. He is buff.
But first of all, I like him in everything I've seen him in. But if you have not watched Weird, the Al Yankovic story,
Oh, it's great.
It's wonderful.
I saw it with Keiko,
where he's
Keiko
like
and
hardcore
Chris.
making out with Madonna, and it's just like, and then when God help me, when he writes the song "Eat It" and Michael Jackson makes "Beat It," and he swears that Michael Jackson ripped off his song. I have never laughed harder in my life.
That's
Oh,
great.
my
I
God.
love that he does things like that. He's a talented guy, and
Yeah.
he can tell a joke. He's great.
He would be excellent.
Start a
I
petition
know.
for that. Let's start a petition for
Daniel
Radcliffe as
Radcliffe.
Bond.
Him or the most recent, or not the most recent anymore, but the doctors, do David Tennant or Matt Smith. I'd be fine with any of those three, but I think Radcliffe is the one who can do the funny. I also like that he's a little short, not because
Yeah. I agree.
but just because like one of my favorite parts of, for example, Terminator 2 is that Arnold's a big dude, and then the T-1000 is a slim little bastard who can throw him through a wall. I like the idea that Daniel Radcliffe will come up against like a Sven-Ole Thorsen type, 6'8", blonde and buff, and he'll just right, like, because that was the thing with Sean Connery. Like, Sean Connery's built like a brick shithouse, but Oddjob is somehow even bigger, right? That's what makes humor in these fucking movies. Meanwhile, Daniel Craig cries at the end of that for 10.5 minutes, which you're allowed to show human emotion. That's fine. But there's no joy in those movies. Pacific Rim. Keiko, do you want to give me the plot?
Oh, sure. Maybe I can do that. Okay, so it starts off and we get a really quick synopsis of the state of the world and how giant monsters come in, as we've been talking about. They're called kaijus, and they are attacking, humanity. And so we've started building robots, and we first tried to have one-man robots. And apparently that explodes your brain. So they decided to put 2 men in, and that seems to work okay. And so they went on with that plan. And then we are introduced to 2 boys, men, and my son informed me that they are twins. And I asked why. And he said it's because they have the same jacket. So they're clearly twins, and they are called out to fight a kaiju, and things go south, and one of the brothers is ripped from the robot and killed by the kaiju while still being like neurally connected to his brother. So his brother's like traumatized basically and survives, but he leaves the sport of Jaeger driving, and Alex takes shot. And
I do like the idea that this is like, we're rolling out with the Jaegers today. Like,
yeah, that's what it is.
it is.
And so then he goes to work on, I don't know, it's like an oil
5 years
rig. It's
later.
not, but yeah, so five,
No, it's
5
the
years
wall.
later.
No, specifically, almost humorously, they're building walls to prevent the kaijus from coming, and we get on very quickly that walls don't keep them out.
Yes, they're like,
Which
oh,
is
they
just
broke
like-
another wall.
It's a failure
He just
immediately.
went through the wall again.
Which
and,
for 2013 is quite prescient, actually.
and they also assign the kaijus categories, like hurricanes, which is helpful. So it helps people like us understand category 2 is what is like normal, and then category 3 is the worst there's ever been, and that's what killed the brother. And then now the big boss man shows up at this guy's job, and he says, hey, we need you back. We have a special mission. We need your help. The world is ending, basically.
Yeah, because they decided to defund them.
Okay.
And so now they've relocated Hong Kong and basically are being funded by a drug lord.
And past that, they're becoming more frequent again. And that's why they're like,
Yeah.
look, these robots aren't keeping up.
We don't have enough guys to drive these things because it's a special skill. They have to be highly trained and also compatible with somebody to be able to drive one. So they call the guy back and they create this big trial of fighters to see who he's compatible with, and he finds himself to be compatible with basically the boss's assistant, but he won't let her do it.
Well, and I was just saying, and we don't know why.
And we don't know why.
Right. That's the character mystery. That's the
Yeah,
character
yeah.
arc.
For some reason, he's protecting this girl Mako from being a Jaeger driver.
Should call them Jägermeisters.
We might as well.
Jaeger Maestros.
Well, then that one goes down, and that's a real Jaeger bomb.
Well, the climax of this movie is a Jaeger bomb.
Yeah, it is
Yes,
actually.
it is.
Ooh,
Spoilers.
Um,
That's pretty much it.
no,
I
that's
mean,
good.
yeah.
No. And I will just add to all of this, Keiko's nice, swift description is kind of how the movie moves. There's not a lot of oh man, and to I mean, again, your screenwriting tips. The character who changes, the one who improves, is our protagonist, which means Mako is actually the protagonist, because our hero Charlie Hunnam, his brother's trauma does not really bother him much, right? The first time they plug in, there's a little bit there, but he goes away quickly. It's her trauma that's the thing that's holding them back, and her trauma is fucking incredible. And I mean, not just how big it is, but how it's filmed. It's remarkable because, again, what's cool about all of this is when you're plugged into the drift, as it is called, you relive a lot of things that could be bothering you. It's essentially what it's like to have an anxiety attack. Does the world hate me? Did I cause monsters? We've been there. Hey,
Did I
whiskey.
cause monsters?
But no, the whole thing is that she was, and if you've seen a lot of Godzilla movies, there's almost always a little girl walking around. If you've not seen Godzilla -1 from the last year, fucking incredible film at the moment, still on Netflix as I'm speaking. But always this little girl. Sometimes she can speak to Godzilla, sometimes she can't, right? But she's this little girl on the street as the apocalypse is happening, and we are just two adults staring over her shoulder watching the world end. And Charlie Hunnam's like, "Oh, well, this must have been traumatic." And then we have, the 1-800 virtual telehelp line that comes up as an advertisement on the bottom. But
Can you support a traumatized Japanese orphan for 5 cents a day?
And so the problem with that is the first time they hook up together, she relives this very traumatic experience where a kaiju destroys her city and chases her for some reason.
I mean, and it's very relatable because
Well-
we've all been on a date, we're hooking up, and all of a sudden she starts screaming about a kaiju.
Yeah.
That's right.
While hooked into her death machine's plasma cannon and nearly kills the
Yeah,
command staff.
so in her fear, she accidentally activates the plasma cannon on the robot and is about to wipe out everybody in the control room and everything, until they very frantically unplug it. And the main guy can be like, "Oh yeah, I forgot to warn you. It can be a little rough your first time." So that would have been helpful.
And then things get rough in the next scene with other Jägermeisters.
Well,
In
okay,
particular, one who's a real douchebag.
What I was curious
As you
about
would be.
is Idris. He was a single manned
Yeah.
robot guy.
He encountered her during that
so
attack.
he was in
and
her memory.
is her
but-
stepfather, basically.
Yeah, because he, I guess, adopted her to take care of her. But my thing is, they said that it killed people. So I guess maybe not everybody.
So we're actually explaining this very, very briefly. There were two different versions of them. The first ones were almost like Iron Man suit kind of things, because you see them at first, they're much more spindly. They're much thinner, as though it's just like an exosuit that can do little things. The problem was when they added the additional nuclear core in the weapons because it had a whole neural net that could react to things. That's the way I understood it.
Okay.
And the way they because I think they said that the delay between the movements started getting slower. So they started using, like, this is your standard AI nanobot bullshit, that the drift. And the drift on your own was too much. But we even see that at the beginning, because when we have the two brothers together, the one guy still is able to operate it a little bit. And that's why Idris wants him back in the end as well. I believe.
Yeah. Well, he does actually say that much later. He says, "You and I both know we're the only two people who serve alive,
Right.
Who have
Everyone else is dead.
who have manned one of these by ourselves." So yeah, I guess that is why. I was just wondering because I had two people talking to me at the same time for a lot of the movie. So
I was in the same boat because I watched this with my oldest. And she was cuddling up, and we were getting into it because it is at a certain point almost Rock'em Sock'em Robots. And she's like, "But why is this happening? Why is this happening?"
Yeah.
I'm seeing this with you for the first time, baby. We got.
Yeah, and mine would ask me really long questions. I'd be like, "And why did the guy with it?" I'm like, "Well, I think he's trying to tell us. I think he's trying to tell us right now."
Well, and also, I mean, and of course, they do defy the laws of physics because they get flown in and out on a single helicopter.
Well, that's
these
true.
Massive things.
There's a few things that are not.
I don't think it's single helicopters. I think it's 3 or 4.
It's like there are formations of several of them holding it up.
Yeah, they have a pulley or whatever.
Now, we have not introduced my two favorite characters, which is Charlie Day and Gottlieb, who are
so we have a biologist and a math scientist. Which I don't. Is there a word for that?
A mathematician,
a mathologist.
Yeah,
Bert and Ernie.
Yeah, since their budgets were cut, it's just Idris Elba and various misfits living in Hong Kong.
Yeah, and we've got Charlie Day from It's Always Sunny and other things, doing his best. I forget the conspiracy guy's name, but he literally
The
has
lone gunman. That's 3 of them.
Are you talking about from X-Files?
No, I'm talking about Charlie Day does a character where he's literally the conspiracy
in
theory.
Always Sunny?
Yeah, it's the meme that always comes up.
I
where he's
gotcha.
drawing the chain, and he's like,
Right.
"I think I understand these monsters, guys."
No, but he actually does. That's what's funny. I really loved all of the his parts, the biology stuff. I thought that was all really interesting. So.
And meanwhile, his buddy Gottlieb is like, "No, according to the math." We've got a little Oppenheimer here, and the two of them.
Mass is like talking to God.
Well, but I guess what we find out is they were both right.
Yes.
It's
in a
just
complimentary way.
Yeah, they just had to work together.
But again, it's the Rosencrantz and Guildenstern story,
Yeah.
because Charlie Day's like, "Here's the thing, we could use the drift to get into their brains. And what if we had a brain? Do you have a brain? We could use a brain." And
Dude, he's been doing
and
all the
Idris Elba's like, "You know what? I bet you there's a whole other movie happening over there. Do you want to go see the other movie?" And he's like, "You know what? I think I could see the other movie." Oh my God, it's so good.
I mean, that's Ender's Game kind of stuff.
Yeah, but better. That Ender's Game movie is a little rough.
I didn't see the movie.
I really like that movie.
I know we fought on that at one point, but we did. I saw it on an airplane. I was like, you know what, Harrison Ford did not want to be there.
He didn't want to be in most of the Star Wars movies either.
He didn't want to be in anything. He's Harrison Ford. You need a gruff asshole. You got Harry. So he goes to Hong Kong. And we are introduced to Ron Perlman of all
Perlman
people.
as the black market seller of
Kaiju
kaiju parts because he had successfully done a neural link with the kaiju brain remnant that was hilariously putting his little tentacle up on the glass every now and then. I love that. But he had done a brain link, and he said they aren't doing this out of some kind of animal instinct. They're following orders. They're being ordered to come here, and what we've been fighting, that's just the babies.
Yeah, and specifically, they're like ants. There's a hive mind going on. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has a vision of the Greys or something close enough, sending them through a wormhole.
By the way, one of my favorite, one of the movies I watch a lot because I enjoy it and it's stupid on the 4th of July, Independence Day. This is very much the Brent
absolutely.
Spiner, like, because even down to the tentacles against the window when he gets possessed and he's talking to President Bill Pullman and all that stuff, and he goes, "We want you to die," right? But Bill Pullman's like, "He was in my thoughts. They're like locusts. There's a hive. They want to destroy us all. Let's fucking nuke them." Like, it's almost the same scene, but it's Charlie Day doing his Charlie Day thing.
Also, like Peacemaker, right? It's the same
It's
kind
awesome.
of thing.
It's so good. This movie is a delight. I'm waiting for I need to get the Criterion 4K or whatever and just like watch it again. Because I don't know about you all. I streamed it. I got it from, we were talking before the show started. I got I have it on Fandango/Vudu, the old, that thing. At one point, they would give away movies in chunks when you first signed up. I think this is one of those early ones because I had it from 2014. I just had watched bits and bobs. What a delight. What a freaking delight. Like, again, the idea that this movie takes a detour to go to an organ market and they're just like these giant brains and they even make jokes,
or live kaiju fleas you can get like in Cloverfield, the things that come off the monster, or deep cut here, Godzilla 1985, which I saw when I was a little kid.
Good. Not bad.
The scariest thing in that movie is the giant bug that comes out of the locker and tries to kill the protagonist.
Well, and
Godzilla's fleas.
And I guess they're making joke at the expense of, some African and Asian, like, well, some people grind this up as an aphrodisiac, kind of like.
Right. I mean, well, he's in the back of, he's in a health store, like a holistic, like tiger bones or whatever.
Yeah, or rhino horn,
health,
or
health
the fish, or the shark fin soup stuff.
Yeah, for like virility.
You got kaiju here, and it's also funny because he's like the white guy trying to buy drugs for the first time.
I dare you to try. You can do a really good Ron Perlman there. I dare you to do a bunch more of the podcast in his voice.
I'm already sound like I'm dying. Like anymore, I'm going to sound like a blues musician or something like, "It hurts me too." Like it's just down there. But no, it's Ron Perlman is a stone cold delight. Like he shows
great.
up. Like we've done. I think at this point both of his Hellboy movies. Like I just love when he shows up and his head and his face are bigger every time I see them.
Yeah, and I didn't get that connection right away. I haven't seen the Hellboy movies, and I guess I haven't seen a lot of Del Toro, but that's Del Toro, Hellboy. I didn't know that, but
We've got to do that movie, that UPN
like
movie,
friends
Primal
or something.
Force, where Ron Perlman fights genetically engineered killer baboons.
Matt, you have a catalog of nonsense, the kind of which I love. I will say the oldest movie I've seen him in is probably The Name of the Rose. I love The Name of the Rose. It is an Umberto Eco movie turned into life where it's about ancient texts in the medieval period and Sean Connery's in it. But he's in a million things. He's in Alien Resurrection, which we were talking about earlier, the Hellboy movies, and he's just a delightful, he's a heavy. I don't know how else to put it. He's a huge dude.
Beauty and the Beast?
Yeah, that's the TV
live
show.
action
Yeah,
show. Yes, as the Beast, of course. He was not the Beauty. Not that he doesn't deserve to be.
my mom commented he has an amazing voice, but he's not so good looking, so he wears a lot of masks.
Well, and he's something that we don't do anymore nowadays. And again, will say positive things about people because I like them, but they're too pretty. For God's sake, he should have been in a Tim Burton movie. His face is practically a special effect, and I mean that in the best way possible. Like he's distinct. He shows up, and you know who he is, and I love him for it. And he also just has this huge, beefy voice. Like he was Clayface in the animated universe. For DC, he was Slade in Teen Titans. Like he just has this big old voice, and he was the Lich in Adventure Time.
Well, and actually, a show that I watched a decent bit of, Sons of Anarchy, and Charlie Hunnam was one of the main dudes in that, and Ron Perlman was sort of the patriarch of the family.
I guess that's
alongside Katie Sagal.
You know what? I wonder if Hunnam was like, "I've got a guy."
Yeah.
Not that
Maybe.
Guillermo would not say no.
Yeah.
But like at the same time, he's like, you know what? I know this man. Or maybe it's the other way around because the Hellboy movies were first.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
maybe he's like,
Yeah, maybe you knew him from there.
I know Charlie. Like you're just like down there. I mean, he's not as low as Vin Diesel, but I imagine he has at least one extra testicle just to get that voice, that big and low.
I do have a question though. I had too many kids talking when Charlie reveals, like he says that he wants the brain and he says why, and Ron Perlman looks at his eye and he says, you linked with one of them, didn't you? And like, what did he say about himself? That he had done it once, but like what happened? Like,
yeah, he references the fact that he tried to connect with one.
Yeah.
Because Charlie's eye is messed up.
Yeah, his eye is like his pupils blown.
Yes.
So, but I was curious if he just said more than like, wait a minute, I know what you did. I tried to do that too. Get out of here. That's all I heard. I didn't hear like why.
There's an explainer. I also, well, how do I even put it? It's almost a weird joke. Like, the fuck are you doing with these things? I've tried it, kid. It's too much for you. Like, because again, he's a gruff bastard talking to this nerdy guy who's wandered in off the street. It's interesting because Idris Elba gives him no backup. It's almost like a secret mission for a nerd. Charlie Day could almost be humming his own theme song as he goes into place.
Can I buy some of this crack cocaine?
So that's what it is. It's a white guy buying his drugs for the first time. He goes, "Are you holding?" And you're just like, "All right, kid."
But it's not just that, because it's like a specialty that he is super interested in. Like it was really funny.
He's a kaiju groupie.
When he freaked out about, like, when he's like, "Oh my gosh, but so the impression that we're given is that Ron Perlman has to share that same passion, because otherwise, why would he have even gotten into this? He just went like the dark path versus Charlie, who became a researcher.
He's the kaiju Walter White.
So but,
you're exactly right. That's how I got it too.
Yeah.
No, because it is great. He's like, because he goes in, he goes, "Oh my God, is that like is that a kidney?"
He's like, "Is that a spleen?" Or
and like,
I cut it out of his body, left in a bathtub.
You know your kaiju. Like he comes in like he's almost like a fellow traveler. He's like, "You know your stuff. Hey, how are you doing, buddy?"
What was really cool is they talked about how they kept the parasites alive, and he said, "Yeah, you just have to dip them in ammonia." And we just got a fish tank, and we just had to go through the cycling process, where you have to dose it with ammonia to encourage the bacteria that eat ammonia to like grow and reproduce, so that when the fish go pee pee and poo poo, the bacteria in the water can clear out the ammonia, before the fish drown in their own urine, basically. So my 7-year-old was like, "Oh, ammonia! We know ammonia's pee pee and poo poo." I was like, "Yeah."
Well, but here's the nice thing about that, because you're right. The rules are there. No, because there could be a movie where there's like 20 extra minutes where they have to figure this shit out, right? Like, I think of The Simpsons, where Homer gets Pinchy the lobster, and they have a freshwater fish tank, and they put the lobster in. Lisa's like, no, lobsters need salt water, and he has like a thing of salt, and he's like, "Don't worry, I got it," and he pours the salt in, and the fish start to die, and he's like, "Oh, Dad, the fish!" And they pour the water, and then the fish are fine, and the lobsters start to die. And he's like, "No, it's a process." And he pours in a little salt, and they're both kind of half floating in the middle. It goes perfect. Like, we could have had that scene where they're trying to explain all this shit. No. Charlie Day gets it. Ron Perlman gets it, and then we're like, "It's a fucking brain."
Yeah.
Do we need the fucking brain?
It was the same thing about like when they explained the neural link that you have one guy to control, the left side of the body, and the way the right side of the brain controls the left side of the body. So like we talked about that, So
and we have this dude who I don't think has any explanations or lines, but he's wearing suspenders and a bow tie, and his sleeves are rolled up, and he's just in the command center yelling at shit.
That's Elvis.
That's Elvis. Yeah. And like, great. People all know their roles. They don't have to explain it. the worst thing about sci-fi is when you spend the whole time explaining it. I get this. Like, you punch a fucking monster. What do you want me to say? Ron Perlman's like, oh, God, they're coming back. Better hunker in the bunker. And Charlie Day's like, well, what about my organs? He's like, kid, you're going to a public shelter. Like, and again, nothing's explained. There's rules. Charlie Day knows he has to go to a public shelter. He looks like a skis bag. We go to a public shelter, and we enter the third act of this movie. Now, the thing we're supposed to be learning is that the kaiju are also learning. The reason they were able to beat them early on was they learned the kind of basic structure, and that's why they were able to punch the one guy's head off. And we have the Rock'em Sock'em Robot scene. So now that the kaiju are getting more advanced, we're at significantly more risk.
Like they start busting out EMPs.
They start busting out EMPs because the newest edition of these Jaegers
Take a shot.
are all fully digital electronics.
Jaeger.
Shut.
Hey, thanks.
Okay. So why not?
Fine.
I'll tell a story while we're here. When I was studying abroad, we had like 4 weeks of class, and then we were allowed to leave halfway through Thursday. So we got to do a lot of trips. We were in Luxembourg, which is delightful to visit and leave. So when we went to Berlin, we went to a bunch of pub crawls, as one would do. And the guy in his backpack had essentially screwdrivers in bottles. So it was like half vodka, and you would just give out shots. And they went from bar to bar to bar to bar to bar. And we went to a Jaeger bar, and I still have my Jaeger shot glass, which you were drinking out of earlier, which I pocketed because we were leaving, and I was like, oh shit, where am I going to put this? Oh well, and I kept it. It may be one of the drunkest I've ever been, but we got home because it was Berlin, and the train stations are very friendly.
Is Jaeger the licorice one?
Jaeger's a licorice
Yep.
one. It
I was
used to be
thinking
made
of-
out of deer's blood.
Got a big stag on the
Ew.
bottle.
No.
Does deer blood taste like licorice?
No, it's just very sweet.
If they
used
eat
to
a lot
be
of licorice.
fermented, yeah. And now it's not. Now it's just licorice and very sweet, like you said. But the last place we went was an absinthe bar, and it was in a cave, and they were playing techno music because it was Germany, and that's the only thing that exists. And I did not see the Green Fairy, but I was mildly hallucinating, maybe. And I was walking along the sidewalk, and the curb looked like that the gutter was like 1,000 feet tall. So I was doing the Minister of Silly Walks, like I have to step over the thing. And there's two things that are not appealing to me anymore: Jaeger shots and absinthe on its own. and it all links to one night in Berlin with my beautiful wife.
One night in Berlin.
Yeah, it seems to be they have missiles on them, but most of the time they're just punching the hell out of them or using swords.
I think it was really silly how we didn't see the sword until at least halfway.
2/3 through.
Yeah,
Easy,
possibly later. And I was like, you have a freaking giant. And my 5-year-old was like, he has a master sword. Like, you got the master sword. Use it. Why
Well,
didn't you?
To me too, it's also the old school thing, right? Because the new ones are all high tech shit, and that didn't work. So now they're like, you know what we have? We can just punch this shit the old school way, just like dun dun dun.
I mean, the sword seemed very effective. It was like slicing monsters in half. The lizard monster lost his tail. Like,
Well, and I will say, just as an aside, one of the things that always bothers me about new action movies, again, we talked about it all the time because it's apparently the hill I'm going to die on. 9/11 ruined everything. But we have 11 9/11s here as they go through buildings and buildings collapse. But the way they fix it, unlike, say, that Batman versus Superman movie, we have shelters because we're used to it. So you know that no one's in the buildings.
Yeah.
They're just buildings falling down. Which, again,
I like that. Yeah.
that's a nice
I
fix
like
to
that.
this, right? Because now we're like, because the whole, at the end of Superman, the Zack Snyder one, Man of Steel is the Zack Snyder now. When we have Batman v Superman, the whole beginning of that is that Bruce Wayne is trying to save a girl while he's watching 11 9/11s happening. While the buildings are collapsing, people are screaming. We have someone like, oh my leg, oh my God. God! Oh, a little girl. No. In this, they're like, oh shit, another kaiju, and they go to the tornado
They're
shelter.
out of there. Yeah, I often find that very hard to square with like an action movie where it's like, am I actually seeing tens of thousands of people dying right now? Because that's
said that.
horrible.
Yeah.
Like the first Avengers movie, there are people on the street as those like space lizards are flying around, are just like, oh no, hundreds of thousands of people are going to die in Manhattan today, and
that's not the focus of the movie that you're watching. We're
watching the heroes,
yeah.
But like, with the exception of Iron Man preventing a nuke from going off, everyone else is dead. Like, there's just corpses everywhere. Like, the Hulk is like, I will take bus off of people. No. They're already dead in there, Hulky boy.
Yeah. I can't help but think about those types of things when I watch certain movies, but yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and the only other comparison I have that I want to bring up just for a second here, I love how Top Gun this is too, because there's just like the support staff like, yeah, and everyone's on the flight deck cheering, and there's a lot of big dick energy, like, hey guys, you know what, we're gonna kick your asses.
And they even have the rivalry going with Charlie versus the Australian guy.
Yeah, the Aussie and his dad, and Charlie and Mako. I do like that, because again, I know people in the military, there's competition, there's a lot of oorah attitude, which is, again, that's what you want in the military. You don't want to be, hell, it's what you want in sports. You don't want to be like, you know what, buddy, you're better than I am. No. I'm the best tight end that, Taylor Swift has ever dated. And like, anyway.
Yeah. No, you want your Jägermeisters on the same team to be in a competition with each other.
Shot.
Jaeger.
Although beating the hell out of each other in the hallway might be a little much.
Well, it's just like one of those preseason training camp brawls. Everybody gets
That's right.
Everybody gets back along.
And again, it's very much like the strong homoeroticism in Top Gun, where again, like Iceman shoved up against the locker, and they're just chewing gum in each other's face, like, you know what we need? A little volleyball. Boys of Summer. Like, by the way, those two movies, fucking fun as hell. You know what I'm talking about? A stupid fun movie. That first one's stupid fun. Second one's actually a pretty great movie, but
Top Gun.
Second one's good.
I mean, the first one literally had Navy recruitment stations at some theaters.
Oh man!
I mean, I believe it, but you know what? If you make propaganda that good, I'll watch it. Hell, fuck. I mean, Walt Disney was making propaganda. You have not lived until you've seen the Disney short "The Fuhrer's Face." You know what I'm talking about?
We had a little viewing here. We had a little viewing here after a podcast one night.
So Donald Duck originally was called Donald Duck in Naziland, but Donald Duck falls asleep and wakes up and he's in Nazi Germany. The song that they make for it is called "Der Fuhrer's Face," which hit on the charts and ended up winning some awards. And the cartoon one ended up Best Animated Short. But you have not lived until you hear Donald Duck say "Heil Hitler" about 1,000 times, right? Like it's amazing.
Disorienting.
Isn't Three Caballeros a propaganda movie too? You know, Pan-Americanism.
Well, I mean, but at least that propaganda is like, don't be racist to Mexicans. Like, right, because the Three Caballeros is about a tour of Latin America, and Mexican people are pretty cool, which they are. Have you ever had a taco? I'm from the Midwest, and we have tacos
and margaritas,
and the best part of the tacos are the black olives on top. I blow my mind with the kids. We're talking about urbanization and how a lot of the food is from ethnic communities moving to America. They don't have their natural ingredients, so they make up new stuff. Spaghetti and meatballs you can't get in Italy. Fortune cookies, Kung Pao chicken you can't get in China. Hard-shelled tacos kind of exist in Mexico, but they're not popular. The guy who owns the patent on hard taco shell machines is a guy named William Bell, the founder of Taco Bell. That's the world we live in. Did you know kaijus have brains that you can plug into?
Kaiju drift.
What does that have to do with tacos?
That's what you know. Ron Perlman is probably selling kaiju meat for tacos.
I mean, I've eaten
a little
cow
Kung
brain.
Pao kaiju around the corner. He's supplying to the street vendors.
Maybe the crab one probably would have been.
Could you imagine a king crab that big? The crab rangoon.
I think Nick's hungry.
Dude, I could eat a crab rangoon the size of a dinner plate.
The only problem is they have like acid in their.
Yeah, they got the kaiju
Blood.
blue. You got to watch out for the kaiju
it's like
blue.
pineapple, the fruit that eats you back.
Hi, this is Steve for kaiju. You know, you had the kaiju blue, but have you tried the kaiju red?
Kaiju hut.
No, it's like Soylent Green, but a little creepier.
That would be inconvenient. Yeah, the kaiju.
An inconvenient kaiju.
Inconvenient.
The new
kaiju.
I mean, they're already pretty obviously eating the bugs, so step up.
I don't know. Lobsters are technically bugs. I like those. So I
Yeah.
like bugs.
Shrimp.
We do learn that Idris Elba's character is dying because of his exposure to the kaiju blue. Is that not? That is the case,
I think
correct?
it was
That's the end of it.
spending years riding a nuclear reactor has taken its toll.
Yeah,
Or is that
I
what
thought
it was?
I thought it was just his
Oh,
body
it's just
reacting
radiation?
to the-
Okay.
Because
I
he keeps
see.
getting, it's like, what Nick is bringing up every so often, cough, cough, blood in the handkerchief
Yeah.
when it's coming out of his nose.
It is very Victorian. Like, you know, I'm an American.
Yeah.
Idris Elba, American.
And
Like
I
he's-
guess
Chekhov's nosebleed.
also around this point, when Charlie makes it back, he demands a kaiju organ.
A brain.
Yeah, a brain. And he and the Ron Perlman, the black market dealer, they kind of go out and they're going to retrieve one of the kaiju that the fighters have just defeated. And the black market guy goes and sends his guys inside the kaiju because it's big enough to walk into its head.
It's a kaiju exposition in there.
And
And this is
they
the body horror.
it's
we were
very
talking
blue.
about.
and they hear a sound, and it turns out that it's pregnant with a little kaiju lizard baby. And
That's right. It's the end of Godzilla in 1998, and there's babies happening. Oh no, I'm Matthew Broderick, and there's little babies.
yeah,
Oh, no.
and the baby pops out and attacks them. But luckily, its umbilical cord is wrapped around its neck.
Dude, that's a holy cow! This is like, I mean, we were talking about David Lynch because he passed his recording, but like this is Cronenberg shit. Like there's just holy.
Yeah, as I'm
holy
retelling
cow.
this, the giant monster fetus's umbilical cord is wrapped around
Strangles
its
it.
neck.
Yeah.
And so luckily it dies. And Ron Perlman very confidently talks about how he knew it was going to die because the umbilical cord was wrapped around it. And he very disrespectfully sticks a switchblade into it and pulls it out. And it promptly wakes up and eats him before dying again.
Strong choice.
And I think there's an end credit scene where he cuts himself out of its stomach.
There
Oh,
is, and
really?
he says, "Where the hell's my shoe?" Ron Perlman
It
does.
was on the ground.
Ron Perlman lives.
It was on the ground, and it was funny because
That
Charlie
forehead is too strong to kill.
Charlie picked up the
Busted
shoe
way out.
and he's like looking at it like, holy crap, it just ate him. And I was like, oh my gosh, it ate his shoes. And my 5-year-old Kelly was like, no, it didn't. Like, look, it's a shoe right there. And I was like, oh, that's true. He only ate one shoe.
Well, if there's no more kaiju, and Ron Perlman's characters he's got to
out
get
of a
out of the
job.
black market
He's out of a
kaiju trade. What's he gonna do?
Something
Go
else,
legitimate? There are no kaiju anymore.
Something else black
He's
market.
going to put he's going to use all his money to save the Vatican Bank. Isn't that the plot of Godfather 3?
It is kind of. I would just say, as we were talking, I mean, I assume I'm the only one who saw Jurassic World 3, Jurassic Park World Dominion.
Yeah,
I
I
have
heard it
not
was bad.
Seen that? No.
You know what? You were right to think it was bad. It's not at all worth watching. The Jurassic World movies are fucking awful.
Are we done with those for a while?
I thought a
No.
new one was coming out.
Oh God.
Yeah, but it's a reboot. I think. It's like called like Jurassic World Reborn. Anyway, I might get this wrong. It's either the second one or the third one of those Jurassic World movies. But Ted Levine's a character in it. He's essentially the Muldoon, right? Like the bounty hunter / shooter guy. But the way what he wants is one of each of the dinosaurs' teeth. Like he's in Vietnam collecting ears. That's what I thought the scene you were talking about was going to be like. He's like, I just need a little bit of each of these kaijus. Like he has like a collection of skin samples or something.
Oh, it's a great big fat kaiju.
There's a bigger package. But that's what it would be like. You know, like we're in a Tim O'Brien book about the kaiju wars, and he's like, and then she came out wearing a necklace of ears. Like I don't know what it is because.
I feel like any kaiju part would be too big to like put on a necklace.
It's Flavor
I think that would be a pretty stupid
Flavor with the clock. He's got
necklace.
Like, he's got like an adrenal gland like bringing down his.
I'm pretty
neck.
sure the cuticle, like they had a cuticle and it like sat on a tabletop.
Well, the
like,
cold open like that. There's like fingers coming out of the ground. We just have these giant like spikety nail things. I'm like, no, you couldn't fit it. Just a big fat dinosaur. Like. I mean, again, like, and if we got our Matt prequel, there would be people worshiping it. Like, that is my favorite bit of Independence Day, where the stripper ladies, like friend was on top of the roof with the sign that said, "Welcome aliens." Welcome kaiju, we're your big friend.
I mean, we do have aliens in 2025, right? Like we have that.
We've had the drones for months, so we're gonna have a weird disclosure coming out soon. Yes. Well, and what was it? 2 years ago, we had the person who was like, "Oh no, the aliens are real." Yes, I'm invited to be here. It was a congressional thing.
Yeah.
We're doomed. So, you know, I know the apocalypse has happened, but when you're listening to this in 2035, remember to contribute to our Patreon.
like and
subscribe to Matt's Substack. You know, my book never came out, but, you know, you could imagine it using your VR goggles. So. Anyway. I mean, there's not a lot here. In the end, Mego is okay to fight. They fight and they win.
And Idris Elba and the Australian guy's son kamikaze the kaiju to clear a path to chuck another bomb. No, they don't use a bomb. They'd melt down another Jaeger, take a drink, reactor on purpose.
Well, the whole idea is, we didn't really explain this, but there's like a tether between our two worlds. And as Keiko said earlier, the idea is that they are coming to conquer us for some reason. Unclear, but who cares? You don't need a motivation there. But this tether is weakening. And Gottlieb, the other scientist, is saying, like, look, if you look at here, it's going to get very thin. And if we explode it, because just like every sci-fi movie from, say, 1950 to 1985, and then again more recently...
The answer to all life's problems is a bomb.
Nuclear weapon, yes. We did The Core a million years ago, and it's the same thing. Which, strange movie, but also stupid fun. We need a nuclear weapon. The nuclear weapon gets disabled because of the chaos, but they're like, but we have a nuclear-powered kaiju. We're going to sacrifice. Guitar hits.
Well, and the Charlie and the math scientist are able to brain link with the baby kaiju that died, and they learn that the portal will only allow a kaiju through, and so they had to rush to get to the other guys to warn them that their plan is not going to work of just like sending the bomb down, because it's not going to get through the portal. So they have to mask as a kaiju somehow.
How do they do it?
He hugs him.
He hugs kaiju as it falls through. But that also guarantees that if the nuke goes off, they can't return. And so, again, we have the Iron Man sacrificing himself. And again, sarcasm free. I like these kind of... I like the odds. Again, Independence Day does the same thing. We have Randy Quaid blowing himself up.
Up yours.
I'm back! Like... who I think is now enemy of the state, Randy Quaid. I mean, we left Christmas, and of course, I do like National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, but enemy of the state, Randy Quaid sounds right at this point. But
Is he still hiding out in Canada somewhere?
He did return for Christmas Vacation too. I think he takes a vacation to the south somewhere. No, you don't have to look at me.
I never.
Well, Alex knows where Randy Quaid is at all moments. He gets notifications.
Yeah, well, I drift with Randy Quaid.
and your mind has survived.
Well, you guys don't realize mild-mannered Walex is essentially our Hunter S. Thompson character. He's just out there. He knows people. He's interviewed 3 presidents. He's talking sports, and he's interviewing Randy Quaid. Like, I don't know what to tell you guys.
I'm on psychedelics, and you wouldn't expect it
He's on
all
a
the time.
lot of Jaeger right now.
Yeah.
Psychedelic Jaeger.
You know, the thing about Jägermeister is it's somehow worse than adrenochrome. I've taken them all, but, you know, the thing is, it's a hell of a drug.
I'm surprised there aren't people like drinking kaiju blood or whatever.
You know what, though? If I saw a giant monsterman come out of the ground, I would try that just sashimi or whatever,
Yeah.
and I'd be like, you know what? I'm sure it gives me powers.
For some reason, I thought you were going to say shiznat. I don't know why. I thought you were going to say I would try that shiznat.
Shiznat.
Then I'm going to turn my chair around and make it real for everyone. I'm that cool youth pastor. You know, what's the shiznat about premarital sex? You know what? I'd say wrap it up because I'm the cool pastor. But anyway, I don't know what to tell you. We've had fun with this movie for about an hour.
Yeah,
Well,
good shiznat.
I knew that. I remember that Idris Elba would die. For a while, I thought they were going to kill off Charlie too, but he gets shot back through the portal just before his reactor overloads and roasts the lead Gray, who's come down to watch.
But it's actually not. It's not clear that he made it out. Like we see that Mako, like we know she got out, but it doesn't reveal to us until like, you know, like
There's
a minute or
little
so later.
suspense.
Yeah, because my kids were like, "Did he die?" It's like, we don't know yet.
And then when they find him, he's unconscious, and she's like, he's not breathing, and he's like, you're hugging me too hard.
Yeah. And then they make like they're gonna kiss, so I covered my kids' eyes, but they didn't kiss.
They did not. And you know what? It's better for that.
Either way.
No,
I mean, it's not set up.
I mean, they've brain linked, so they already know if they have crushes on each other.
You know what? That's interesting. They didn't bring that up. They could have. I do almost like that for both of them. They've replaced a support structure, I guess, because he lost his brother, she lost her family. So
to me, it seems romantic. I think it's set up as romantic because when their rooms are like across from each other, she's always like looking at him. She sees him shirtless and like she's like looking through the peephole. So I feel as though it is a romantic setup.
Yes,
Their
but
like
was it
instant
because
connection.
you wish you were in the like staring at his abs across the way?
No.
Possible future episode Meg, they have a whole joke about Jason Statham in that circumstance.
I liked Meg. Do you like Meg?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good. I no, and I'm not putting you on the spot for that reason. I'm just saying, like, the way I interpreted that scene, it could have gone either way. So I almost wish there was one more scene that explains it either way. Because
You think she was just seeing what happened to him, like his scars and stuff?
Because she comments on the scars, but it could have gone either way. So the way I interpreted it was the first time they linked up and she nearly killed everyone, when he puts the hand on the shoulder, that to me is much more fraternal. Like, I get it. I went through it too.
Yeah.
And so her...
No. Yeah, you go.
No, just saying, like, her looking at the scars could have been lustful, romantic, but since we have that other scene, it's more like, oh, he has scars too that I don't know yet either.
You want to know how I got these scars?
I agree that particular interaction in the whatever Jaeger. I was gonna call it a mech. Jaeger in the Jaeger.
Come on,
was
Alex, take it. Drink.
platonic.
I'm gonna make it.
But
One more I need.
what I think is, when she eyeballed him, it started as abs. Okay, abs. And then he turns around and she sees his scars. And she's like, oh, like he's been through some stuff.
There, yeah.
But then they have like instant like chemistry connection kind of stuff. When they're fighting together, it's like they have like an unspoken sort of, I don't know. I saw it as romantic, but that could just be me. I am a girl. I do tend to like want romance in movies, but
No,
I see it. I agree.
I'm not going to argue with you here.
I think they were boyfriend and girlfriend, Nick. Jeez.
Here's my journal, and I have all these things in it.
They were going steady by the end, guys.
No, I do like that. There could have been a better sequel where they were there, but it's almost.
It is open-ended.
Yeah.
But I choose to interpret it as they are now boyfriend and girlfriend.
Or at the very least, it's about two people who are processing their trauma together and overcoming it, which is just
also,
nice on its own.
But also, I just don't. Not saying it would diminish how good she was, but also maybe the high five again, like the end of Top Gun. Like we didn't get along at first, but you saved my ass and I saved yours. There's also that too, and not to say that they couldn't have kissed afterwards. And again, it almost makes it worse that she's Asian and he's white, and you're like, did they just not kiss because it would have been a white guy kissing a minority, which happens a lot in movies.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess so.
Denzel Washington doesn't always get the girl at the end.
That's a really good point. And maybe if it was just two white people, maybe they would have easily crossed that line.
But also, you could make the argument that Guillermo was saying, like, maybe people can work together, male and female, and not just make out at the end.
Yeah, I think he said something about that later, that he didn't want there to be a love story.
But you know what? Either way, they didn't do it, and I don't think it hurts the movie, but I think it's interesting. Of the decisions that he made, that's the only one I'm like, why?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I don't know. I feel like we've covered it. Well, Alex, why don't you go first? What do you think?
Yeah, I actually saw this movie for the first time like within the last 6 or 7 months and watched it again and was, I mean, yeah, it's a hell of a romp, man. It's fun. It's fast. It's looks great. I wish I could have seen it in theaters. That would have been a hell of a time.
Come and watch it at our house.
I know, I should have.
We watched it on
was
the theater.
invited. I was invited over there today, and I had to decline.
I did
Sorry.
have children asking very long questions the whole time.
That's okay. I can tune your kids out.
Okay, good.
I'll tell you what.
Gimli was there.
I'll go
I like
next, and then you two can end it for us. Keiko, you can go last.
Aw. Just kidding. Just kidding.
I'll tell you what. I love this movie. And like Alex, I will say, I always feel shitty for sitting on this movie for so long and not watching it. Like, it was incredible. And perhaps, I mean, and I will say perhaps, I really had the same thought, which is that I missed it in theaters. This should have been a theater movie.
Oh, man.
I maybe I just don't need to see it because I miss it. Because there's a lot of blockbusters, like, quote unquote, like, capital B blockbusters that they should only be seen on the big screen, and then they are, to the trash bin of history. So the fact that I watched it in my meager 55-inch screen in my basement with surround sound, like, talk about a step down. What a fucking delight. It was like truly just a delightful, fun, stupid movie. But Michael Bay, I like some of his stuff, but those Transformers movies that are 9 hours long, you miss the point, man. You want to watch action, you want in and out. You don't need a lot of explanation about how they work. Fun. Just true capital F fun. Matt.
I thought this was fun. Definitely check it out. And also, I think there's some books that tie in and go deeper into the lore, and I always like the lore, so check those out too.
And I will give it to you. Matt, we've talked about this a million times, but you are more interested in the world the movie creates than the movie itself, this is a movie I would read the books about, because this to me feels like a fun fucking world. Keiko, take us home.
I would not want to be in this world.
No.
No.
Maybe at the end of the movie once they close the monster portal. But this movie was a lot of fun. I had to beg my kids to watch it, but it very quickly absorbed their interest. It was a lot of fun. They were like yelling out loud at the fight scenes. Like, they've not done that in any other movie where they've been like, oh yeah, they really got it. You know, like this is the only movie they've ever done that for. So it's very good. It's free on Hulu right now. Yes. Like it's just streaming on Hulu. So if you want to watch it, you can. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, I won't say a damn thing about that. You're absolutely right. So next week, we are finishing this month of nothingness with one of the worst movies that's ever been made. It's called Ultraviolet. Vampires are installed. No, it's apparently something that should never be watched, so that's why it's on our podcast. However, I will just tease the fact that the entire month of May, which has 5 weeks, we have decided to focus on a single director, which we have not done in a long time. We're doing Hitchcock movies. And I will say, I love Alfred Hitchcock. I've seen maybe 15 of his movies, and there's probably 40 of them. But we've chosen some real bangers. So even though Ultraviolet will probably end the show, if we survive Ultraviolet, enjoy an entire month of Alfred Hitchcock. Because you know what? We all go a little mad sometimes. Thanks, everyone.
Myopia Movies is a podcast production of Dude Letter Podcasting and is produced by Nick Hoffman. It is edited by Nerd Trinette and Daniel Sudis and is hosted by Nick Hoffman, with production assistance by Matthew Quinn, Daniel Sudis, and Nerd Trinette. The theme song is Surf Shimmy by Kevin MacLeod from Incomptech.com. Licensed under the Creative Commons by Attribution 4 license, Creative Commons /licenses by /4.0. Thanks.